All right, folks, Vitek here from Wani, and with us today we have the legendary one and only Peter of Pain. How are you doing, Peter?
Oh, I'm super great. Everything so far so good today. How's things in India?
Things are pretty good, and fans are stoked to hear the new album coming home. Obviously, it's been a while since Pain released the material. Now you've already unleashed 2 songs, Call Me as well as Black Night Satellite. So how's been the response from your fans all around the world?
I think it's been pretty good so far. There's still a lot of surprises on the album, So it can go all kinds of ways now. But I definitely think, like Black Night Satellite and Call Me is those who are mostly typical songs that sounds like Pain, I think, I didn't want to do any surprises like we did on the last album, when Dirty Woman came out. People were like, what the hell are they trying to be AC/DC and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, all that shit.
Right.
So, this time we said, like, okay, let's take some songs where it's, sounds
like Pain.
People would expect, let's not give them any unexpected stuff, so that's for later.
Now, Peter, it's always been, interesting to see the kind of route musically you take with Pain, and obviously with an album like Coming Home, which is a perfect mixture of the ambient, the atmospheric, the symphony, which is pretty much peppered with those wonderful electronic melodies which you have fused in there. So was this kind of a path you were interested to take this time to kind of introduce more of the electronic elements into the music?
Yeah, a little bit. I felt like, since I started working with this guy who was doing this orchestra arrangement, and
Clemens.
I've always been writing. I've been always writing, orchestra parts in my songs, but I never had the good sound and so on. So it kind of drowned it into the music. But now, when I have this guy that really helps me pimp up my melodies and stuff like that, it's so much easier to write something really grand.
True.
So to say,
Absolutely, and obviously, you had collaborated with Clemens on this, and also your 17-year-old son is drumming on the album as well. So must have been a great feeling to have him take the throne and bash those songs out, and also Clemens writing some of the best, the atmospheric, the orchestral parts I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, first off, with my son, it was just, he's a very good drummer, and, he hasn't played for a long time, and, he's only been an active drummer since he was 14, so 4 years old. For 4 years now, he's been playing drums, and he really, over the last couple of years, he's just been growing to an incredible drummer, so, of course, with Pain, it's about, the groove in it, it's not about being the best drummer in the world.
Right.
Yeah. But he has that anyhow, so he can do that with his band, And, it was super great to have this going because, we live in the same house, it's easier for me to ask him to come down and put some drums on for a song that I'm trying, instead of sitting with a drum machine. It's so boring, because if you want a drum machine to sound good, you have to sit and program it for a long time, and
right.
It doesn't make sense, when you're writing the music,
Absolutely, and that's really wonderful to hear. And obviously, with your vocals, what really was an interesting thing was how you took the cleaner style this time, which was more focused on the composition, which sounds very heavy, very powerful, and obviously your vocal style is matching. For instance, the song we spoke about, Black Night Satellite, or even Pain in the Ass, have got those perfect amalgamation of heaviness as well as melody, and like you said, the epitome of writing grand songs over your vocals.
Yeah, with this orchestra stuff, I write the stuff and I send it over to him, and he really pimps it up with everything around that involves an orchestra, I guess, classical orchestra, and it just makes it so much better. So now it feels like next time I'm writing, sky is the limit, because I have this in mind that I know that, I can get it exactly as I want it, because sometimes it's hard to, when I put so many different elements of music in my songs, it's really hard to get it 100%, every element, like there's people sitting doing orchestra all day long, but for a person like me who writes metal music, it's, you have to get into this whole thing, and there's so many different eras that you have to be good on if you want to do this kind of wide spread album, so learning by doing,
That's wonderful. Obviously, your vocal melodies are right there, and with having Yoakam from SABATON doing a guest on this, so it was wonderful to see this collaboration. Obviously, you've been producing their albums in the past as well, so this kind of was pretty much evident that okay, this could happen, and to see you guys, sing along together on a track.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it really started on SABATON's Carolus Rex. When I did guest vocals on Gott mit uns on the album. Right. And so it was my vengeance this time to get to sing on my stuff. So. Right. Oh, we had a good time. We're really good friends, and so it's perfect.
Absolutely. I want to talk about this track, the Absent Phoenix Rising, where you kind of bring a huge kind of the twist by leaning more towards the techno electro industrial sound, which kind of deviates from the epic and the atmospheric sound which I heard on the album. So it's wonderful to see you experimenting it. So I was wondering, this track as well as the final Crusade, where you had a lot of the band's core sound doesn't seem to be too different here, but you tend to kind of mix it up. So was that sort of an intention to kind of let things go kind of all over the place so that you can bring in some new influences on songs?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just not, I didn't really think what kind of music style it was when I wrote it. And then as you add your sounds to it and things like that, in the end, it sounds like a Pain song, Right. With my vocals, I think it ties together, so you can definitely hear it's Pain and in the production and everything. So, I mean, for me, I'm not afraid to do a blues song or whatever, because I know in the end when all my elements are coming on, it's going to sound like another Pain album, So, I mean, it's the steps are very small at the end, but they're very big in the beginning when you're composing it,
True.
So in the end, it kind of smooths out to become this Pain style that I have.
Absolutely. And what you do in the end of the song, Final Crusade, that was wonderful. The final minute, I mean, there's a pause and you throw a massive breakdown and that deadly growl, and that completely shook me off. It came as a surprise, and I'm sure fans will face the same.
Yeah, I mean, there's no rules how to write a song or what to put in a song,
right?
Especially with Pain, So I mean, if I feel that there needs to be some growling in there, I growl. If there needs to be eight string guitars in there, then I just whatever is needed to make the song complete. In my head, that's really how I build it.
That's right. Now about lyrics, obviously, you played a lot with the lyrics on this. You've spoken about obviously the Black Knight Satellite, the saga which you had in your mind, the conspiracy theory. Then you have titles like Call Me, a Wannabe. So the lyrics seem to be like fun on this album. You've kind of sat down and probably thought about some really crazy incidents which have come to your mind, and you've just written them down. So was it something that you wanted to just explore as much as possible lyrically?
Yeah, I mean, lyrically, I started with lyrics the last thing after all the songs were done. Mm-hmm. So I could really concentrate only on the lyrics. And I didn't want to do only like dark lyrics. I wanted to put some humor in there as well, and a little twist to it. Anything from singing with gigolos to singing about, this absinthe stuff and, pain in the ass is kind of funny song as well,
Right.
And there's a lot of, different twists to the lyrics, just to make it a new feeling to the whole Pain album, to make it a little bit more fun.
That's right. Now that the Pain is the release is just about the corner. I think just more than 7 to 8 more days since the album will be out. Obviously, you're hitting Europe as well. So, are there plans to kind of take this album on road for next 1 or 2 years, possibly a US tour?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this year is pretty full booked right now. With, Europe and Scandinavia, and also 2 shows in Russia. And then next year we start off with the 70-ton cruise, metal cruise.
Yeah.
And then we do a 2-week headline in America, only in the major cities. And then I think we come back to Europe and do the cities and countries that we didn't do on this Europe.
Right.
Tour. And then I'm sure there's going to be South America as well, and of course a lot of festivals. But we also want to go where we haven't been before as well, as India and stuff like that,
Indeed, I hope that happens. So that brings me to the question of HYPOCRISY. So where is the band stand right now? You guys released a deadly album 3 years ago. So what is in for the fans for future?
There will definitely be a new album, but I don't really know exactly when. We have to come up with some material, of course, and listen to it and make choices of how we're going to do things, But I'm sure it's going to be pretty brutal like the last one.
So we still have some time before you start working on the HYPOCRISY album.
Yeah, I'm still so much up in this Pain thing right now, So, I mean, as soon as the album is out, it's going to cool down a little bit, and have some time to sit and think what I would like to do. And we start touring and, I have a lot of free time sitting and think and plan,
Obviously, that's wonderful to hear. And what about Lindemann? I mean, I read a German interview, I don't remember, been a long time, where you wanted to take the album live with Till. Obviously, he's busy with Rammstein. So is it ever going to happen? You guys going to take that album on road?
We think so. We just we need to respect when Rammstein is back working now, and we have to wait for the next break. I think from them. If we can do something. Yeah. We have ideas for a lot of songs laying around.
So there would be a possibility of another Lindemann album in future?
Yes, for sure.
Awesome, Peter. Before we conclude, how about you describe the sound of coming home in just one sentence?
Emotions.
Bang on. Thanks a lot, Peter. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening ahead, and I'll catch you at 70,000 tons.
Yeah, you too, and see you soon, India, I hope.